All right, scholar, so I'm going to talk you through some of my annotations for the first 3 paragraphs of How It Feels to Be Color to Me. So first off, just in the title, I know this is a perspective that I can never have. So I'm going to be open to learning and listening. Then she begins, I am colored, but I offer nothing in the way of extenuating circumstances except the fact that I am the only Negro in the United States whose grandfather on the mother's side was not an Indian chief. All right, so first she tells me, I'm not going to tell you anything more than this. I'm not going to offer you anything else about my race or background. Then she says the fact that I am the only Negro in the United States. And since I don't know about this history right here with having, Indian chiefs or Native Americans, mixing with African Americans, I don't know a lot about that. I wonder, is it fact or does she just feel like that? And then here, I think what she's saying is she's not mixed. Then she has a very important line. I remember the very day that I became colored. So the first time that she felt different or otherized, she can remember that. She's going to tell us about that eventually. Up to my 13th year, I lived in the little Negro town of Eatonville, Florida. It is exclusively a colored town. So it was very segregated and only people of color, Black, Indigenous, and or people of color lived there. The only white people I knew passed through the town. So I wrote down that they kept going to or coming from Orlando. So this was just a town that they would pass through and they wouldn't stop at. The native whites rode dusty horses. So native, they're locals or they're Floridians. They're not necessarily from Eatonville. The northern tourists chugged the sandy village road in automobiles. So tourists from the northern states would drive in the cars. The town knew the southerners and never stopped cane chewing when they passed. So the people in the town, the local whites or the southern whites, they could tell who they were. And this didn't cause them to stop what they were doing. It wasn't so interesting. But, so I know there's going to be a change, but the northerners from the northern states were something else again. So they were different. They were much more interesting. They were peered at cautiously from behind curtains by the timid. So I'm wondering, they were peered at cautiously by the timid. Were they scared of them? The more venturesome would come out on the porch to watch them go past and got just as much pleasure out of the tourists as the tourists got out of the village. So here you have this juxtaposition between timid and venturesome. You have peered and watched. So similar words, but peering at someone's very different than watching someone. And they both got mutual pleasure. So there's some mutual curiosity going on between these two groups of people. The front porch might seem a daring place for the rest of the town, but it was a gallery seat for me. So she's setting up this idea that she's different from the others in town. So, but is an important word there, right? And you went from the timid to the venturesome, and to her, it's a gallery seat, right? Her favorite place was atop the gatepost, proscenium box for a born first nighter. Okay, so I had to think about this line too, you guys. So remember she said gallery, so that's like at a show. First nighter is like opening night. So then I realized they're talking about those fancy box seats like in a theater that are up high, that they show in movies and such. Or maybe you've been lucky enough to go to a play and sit in one of those. So those are the proscenium boxes on opening night. So for her, it's just like sitting in one of those boxes on opening night. It's exciting, thrilling, fun, right? She's using a metaphor of going to the opening night of a theater to show us that she had no trepidation, no fear. This was exciting for her. I usually not only did I enjoy the show, but I didn't mind the actors knowing that I liked it. She was openly having a good time and enjoying herself. I usually spoke to them in passing. I'd wave at them, and when they returned my salute, I would say something like this: "How do you do? Well, I thank you. Where are you going?" So this reminds me of a parade. This is like a parade-like atmosphere, people waving at each other and chatting. Usually, automobile or the horse paused at this, and after a queer exchange of compliments, I would probably go a piece of the way with them, as we say in the farthest Florida. So here the word queer is like odd or unnatural. But you still have this, if you see, you have a pattern of diction with her. It's exciting. She's enjoying herself. Compliments. This is all a very fun, exciting exchange for her, right? Unlike the people who were timid and maybe scared, or even the people who stayed on their porch feeling they were venturesome, she was thoroughly enjoying herself. Okay. If one of my family happened to come to the front in time to see me, of course, negotiations would be rudely broken off. This, of course, shows us that this is what she would expect. Because, again, she is unlike even most of the people in her town who might stand on their porch and peer or watch people. She was enjoying herself and chatting with them. So this would be behavior that they probably wouldn't want her to be doing. So family did not want her interacting like this. But even so, it is clear that I was the first welcome to our state Floridian, and I hope the Miami Chamber of Commerce will please take notice. So she felt like a greeter, welcoming tourists, and here she's having a little bit of fun and being tongue-in-cheek, right? Obviously, she's not expecting the Miami Chamber of Commerce to give her a plaque or anything, but she's just saying, I was such a good greeter that someone should certainly notice.